Inflation just hit the lowest number we've seen in more than 3 years. That number, 2.9%. And before you say that's a fake number and you don't feel inflation going down in your everyday life, which I know that's what you want to say in the comments, please just hang on and watch this video till the end before you comment so you can understand what these numbers actually mean for you. So these inflation numbers come from the Consumer Price Index report that was released today for the month of July. It's super important for you to understand just because the numbers show inflation numbers are going down, that does not necessarily mean prices are coming down. It just means the rate of price increases is slowing down. That means generally prices are not dramatically shooting up the way we saw a few years ago. The Federal Reserve's goal is to have prices increase 2% every year. That's the goal. So in July, we were at 2.9%, including everything and not excluding anything. Okay, so let's put 2.9% in context. This is the CPI for the last 20 years. There we are right there, 2.9% July of 2024. That peak you see right there was June of 2022 when inflation hit 9.1%. That was really high. I covered it all in detail here on this page, but you can see since then, those numbers have steadily been coming down. That low right there was May of 2020. So like peak pandemic, you remember those days, the supply chain was completely broken down. That was when we were all fighting over toilet paper, right? Right there, the inflation was at 0.1%, well below what the Federal Reserve's 2% goal is. And you can see it was coming right on the heels of a really tiny little recession. That's what that gray line is a officially declared recession. You can see it, the other one right here, which was significantly longer in 2008. But right after that, May of 2020 is when you can start to see clearly inflation going up. That's when this whole thing started. And because I know you're going to ask what were the inflation numbers under former President Trump, those are the Trump years right there in that red bracket. I excluded 2020 because of the pandemic and all the wonky numbers there. So average for his first 3 years, February of 2017 to February of 2020, was about 2.2% inflation. His peak was at 2.9%, which is the same number we see today. Okay, now that you understand how the inflation numbers work and you understand the context, let's talk about what we're seeing today and what that actually means for you. You should know this report further solidifies the chances that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates next month. As for the report itself, it found, on average, inflation for everything, including goods and services and everything we buy and eat and consume, not excluding anything, was 2.9% higher in July of this year compared to July of last year. The report also found inflation crept up between June and July of 2024 by 0.2%. The item that primarily caused this 2.9% number was the index for shelter, which was up 5.1% higher in July of this year than July of last year. And we all need shelter every month. So that is a real problem, especially when it comes to our personal finances when that number is so high. As for the other things we all need every month, the report found gas prices were down more than 2% from July of last year and found that food prices increased a little more than 2% from July of last year. It also found significant drops in the used car and trucks index and a drop in airfares. And because I know you're going to ask, yes, coffee was included. It was down 0.4% between July of this year and July of last year.